Hello, everyone. Rebecca Weber here, back at CPAC, and I'm joined by two of the most fun, lovely ladies that I've been able to spend time with here at CPAC. I just love you folks. These are the chicks on the right. We're talking about Amy Jo Clark, better known as Daisy, and Miriam Weaver, also known as AMAC.
Yep.
Ladies, how have you been?
Good.
Great.
Welcome to AMAC's Better for America. It's wonderful to be with you today.
Well, thank you for having us.
So, Chicks on the Right is one of the just really fun, engaging, and really smart way for you folks to communicate with so many other women in America, and I'm sure men as well. Share with our listeners a little bit about how you both formed Chicks on the Right.
Fun story.
I love it.
Really fun story. Well, I think it was divine, sort of serendipitous, the way that we got together. I think we're meant to do what we're doing today. It's been a long journey, but we met and we became friends, back in 2008, and we started working together. And you're really good at telling. You're really good at telling how we.
Well, unfortunately, it's a really long story.
Yeah, it is.
The actual serendipitous nature of it is. Everybody should listen to it just because of how divine it actually is. And we devoted an entire deep dive podcast episode to it. It's number 21 of the deep dive podcast episodes because it is such a fantastic story.
And that gives you all the major details.
Yeah. But essentially, we were working together in corporate America, and it was the summer of 2008 when Obama mania was like taking hold of the nation. And even though we were apolitical at the time, we were finding ourselves talking about nothing but that when we were going out to lunch. And so she had the idea a few months after he won election that we should start a website where we would talk about issues of the day, like his election, like other news items, in a way that we were doing at lunch over chips and salsa and sometimes margaritas.
Yeah, very conversational, like in a very conversational way. Not because a lot of people at that time were doing it in a very wonky, kind of pundit-like way.
Very too structured in this
Very
sense.
structured. And I know it sounds weird because now you see a lot of what we do out there, a lot of opinion stuff out there where people are just talking about politics. But back then, we were one of the first to do what we did. And so we did it. We started a website and it was basically a blog at that time. And we just started writing about politics in a way that was just very conversational, how we would talk about it with your girlfriends over lunch. And it got a little bit of a cult following. People started reading it. We were very surprised by that. We thought it would just be our parents, but alas, it was not just our parents. And so we got a little bit of a cult following, and then we started, our Facebook page and stuff like that, and it started taking off. And then it snowballed from there. We got a radio show, we got a column, we got a book deal, and then over the years, it sort of morphed into what it is today, which is now we're doing the podcast, which is wonderful.
So wonderful. The podcast is absolutely great. I want all of our listeners to check it out because they are going to love it. Chicks on the Right podcast, and they can find that anywhere you listen to podcasts, which is great. You still have your website up and running.
Yes.
And so you're talking about so many issues, and I love this because conservative women in America, I feel like our voice is often suppressed.
Yes.
Especially these days with the public square really shutting our voice, closing us down, not allowing us to speak our heart. What are some of the bigger issues that you're finding that your listeners are really worried about, concerned about, or engaging in today?
The economy, I think, is the biggest thing for me. Economy, I live in Texas, so the border is a massive issue. Wokeness, just the culture. There's a general culture rot that we've seen over the past 14 years. When you do this for so long, you think, oh, well, things are going to get better, right? But we've seen just a general decline in the culture, and it's happened so quickly. That's what's kind of
almost unrecognizable in America.
Yeah, it really is. And so, when we are doing our daily podcast, we're hitting so many different issues, and I think that's one of the recipes for success for our podcast is that you're never going to get bored.
That's right.
If you think that we're going to be covering one topic, just as soon as you get tired of that topic, we're already starting another one. So one of the things that we do is we try to cover not just politics and not just the news and the fires that are exploding all around the country, but also some of the stuff that's happening in culture, which is why, just like Amy Jo said, the wokeness is such a cancer on the culture, on the country. And so a lot of the issues kind of tie into wokeness. So whether you're talking about people not being able to distinguish what a man is versus a woman, that is all tied into wokeness and the way that progressives have managed to control the narrative.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time on that.
And you're right about almost every topic sort of leads us back to this wokeness. When I speak to my children, adult children, young adult children, they say, Mom, why do you always talk politics? And I say, I'm not talking politics. I'm just wondering why Riley Gaines wasn't the winner.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I just wanted to understand why these books are being read to 5-year-olds.
right.
So, and why are Christian voices in America being, shut down? These are such important issues.
Yeah, and why are, test scores coming back now and kids scoring, why are kids not able to even do simple math after a couple of years? So we talked about that on our show this morning. I mean, the fact that, we're seeing data show that our educational system is absolutely broken. And
It's
why is
failing.
that? Yeah, they're because they're focusing on things like gender pronouns and not on things like reading, writing, and arithmetic, right?
That's right. And what's lovely about you two both is the chemistry between both of you and makes for such an engaging, really just it takes me in every time. And I love that we're always advertising with you folks because
Yeah.
so many people are hearing about AMAC because of Amy Jo and Miriam or Daisy and Mock. So how did you come up with these great names?
Oh my gosh, well, you already had
I did. I had a blog way back when, back in the olden days of blogs. I had a blog that was just poking fun at celebrities and just odd things in culture. And so I'd asked my husband one day, what's a name that resonates with the idea of mocking things and people and ridiculous situations? And he was like, Macarena. It just came out of his mouth. And I was like, Macarena, okay, that's cute. I'm going to stick with that.
I
And then
love it.
once people knew me as that, once we started our site, it already felt like me. And so I just kept it.
Yeah, and I knew I had to pick one, and so she was like, "You have to pick a moniker," and I was like, "All right, well, I love daisies. I love the flower daisy, so I just picked Daisy." And
I love it.
And we've actually tried to use our real names. We tried to because we've rebranded a couple times over the
Sure.
past 14 years, and we tried to use our real names, and people hated it. They hated us using our real. So we're like, well, I guess we'll just stick with Mock and Daisy because people don't
Really
like
good stuff.
Yeah.
So now I want to talk about hope for America's future. We have so much negative stuff happening. We see, and I'm worried about children in schools, really concerned about crime.
Right.
Even in the suburbs and in areas that you once thought were safe, we're afraid to go after dark or take a walk. These are real issues impacting Americans. You mentioned the economy. We've got the southern border, just the wall. There's no wall. We've got people coming over and dangerous drugs flooding into this nation. Despite all of that, which is so bad, hope for America's future. Share with me your hope for the future.
Well, I mean, our kids, right? Kids that I see that are conservative kids that, we talked a lot about the pendulum swinging so far to the left that I think it's time for it to swing back to the right. And I think it's doing that because we know a lot of young people that are conservative, and we talk to and see a lot of young people who are conservative. And I think that pendulum is starting to swing. You see a lot of, young people here at CPAC. We see a lot of young people of kids of the people in our community and young people who are in our community. And when I say community, the Chicks on the Right community, because we've built such a wonderful community that are conservative. And so that gives us hope because these are people who really care about our country and not being woke, not being communist or socialist. These are people who love our country and want to make sure that it's not woke and that want to save it from this craziness that's happening.
I love that. That is a great message of hope, and it's the work that you're both doing. And I know you love it. You don't really call it work; it's a passion that you have.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun.
But it's so important, and I just applaud you and thank you so much for all that you're doing for this great country, for getting the voice out and empowering women. Because when one woman shows a little bit of courage or bravery, the rest of us say, "Well, I want to do that. Maybe I can do that." And so speaking out is important. Too many people are afraid today.
Agreed.
And we can't let fear hold us back.
So right. You're so
Absolutely right.
You mentioned a book. Is there a book that we can talk
Not
about?
a new one,
Okay.
but it's the book that we wrote back in 2014. It's called Right for a Reason. There's a lot of themes in it that talk about why we are conservative that will never run out of time. I mean, they're timeless. There are some things that are very 2014 focused. I remember in one of the chapters we're talking about Occupy Wall Street, for example. So that that dates the book a little bit in 2014, but it's still a really, I think, a powerful book about why we are on the right.
It's so wonderful. Final question for you ladies. Did you feel and do you currently feel that you are being suppressed via social media, Facebook platforms, YouTube, et cetera, and how are you getting around that? This is something that we here at AMAC are very passionate about. That is protecting our First Amendment right.
Yes.
And we want to ensure that people like you and all people, for that matter, people with differing views and opinions are not silenced. So I'm just curious because you've started in '08 and things, when the internet was really, everybody started engaging in Facebook. Talk to me a little bit about your experience there that you might have
I mean, yes, we absolutely have been suppressed.
And it's not about feeling that we have been. We
have
absolutely have been. We were listed, in fact, on the most recent report that I think the Washington Examiner put out about the Global Misinformation Index. We were one of many sites that were listed officially by the Global Misinformation Index as sites that should be suppressed from an advertising revenue perspective and all of that. So it's not a feeling. It's legitimately happening, and we're thankful to, investigative journalists like Matt Taibbi doing the Twitter Files expose. It's not about conservatives feeling like it's happening. It is just factually happening.
It is
And so we try to avoid the social media issues by using a little pig Latin when we want to say things that we're not supposed to say. I mean, we do things in a funny way to try to avoid the canceling, but it's a risk all the time, and we've faced the strikes.
It's just crazy that you have to do that.
Yeah,
it's like just the fact, like when just hearing you say, like, just knowing that we do that, like she will do pig Latin a lot. Like she literally does. She'll say pig Latin on our show, and I'm just like, I cannot believe that we have to do this.
That you're talking in another language.
Right, in a free
And
America.
here we've got, two beautiful, wonderful, hardworking ladies, moms, wives, looking to just lift everyone up around you.
Yeah.
And for you to be labeled as somebody who needs to be quieted or suppressed,
nuts,
make you
isn't
know
it?
that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
It's just
And we
nuts.
applaud you. We want to,
thank
we
you.
love you folks. Thanks for all you
you
do, and
so
thanks for
much.
being a great supporter of AMAC.
And
we
thank
love you guys.
Oh, we love you guys so much. Absolutely.
Well, this is great. And hopefully at one time, maybe I can come on your show.
We'd love it. We'd
That would
love
be
it.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you
Amy,
so much.
Joe, Miriam, thank you again. Have a
Thank
blessed
you.
day and enjoy CPAC.
Thank
You
you.
too.